Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 13th day of February, 2023. Well, I'm going to go ahead and dispense with the esoteric influences from, I think, this point forward. I think it just takes too much time. If you want to read them, they're over there on the blog at Stepping Aside. The web address is imsteppingaside.com. If you want to take a look at that over there, you can. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle a little bit here. I've done some shuffling, but I just want to do just a little bit more. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you, and if you watched the Super Bowl, I hope you enjoyed that. We watched it. We wanted the other team to win, but you know, it is what it is. We're happy for everyone's performance, and although I mean, I kind of found it a little bit boring most of the time. Too many stops, too many, too much referee business, but whatever. Sometimes it'd be fun to just watch a free-for-all, but that's not what happens, so that's not the point of it, but it might have been fun. Exhilarating, but anyway, let's go ahead and that's enough shuffling. Let's go ahead and take the rune here for the day, for the reading from the Elder Futhark, the As Above side of things. I hope that we had a really warm day yesterday. I guess it got up to 62, which is weird, but I hope we're not going to have what we had last year, where we had a little bit of a spring early, and then we had a little more winter, which ruined everything. And I didn't get as much as I would have from the garden because of that little interlude. And so I'm hoping that doesn't happen again this year, but I don't know. June was really cold last year. It was questionable, and it just usually everything is done by the end of May, what it's going to do, right? And then we can safely plant after that. But that was not the case last year, so I hope that's not coming again this year, because that was frustrating. Today's rune is Vunyo. Vunyo is about joy and fellowship, coming together in harmony and love and again, joy. It reminds me of the Three of Cups, where you see three women dancing, holding their cups high. They're dancing in a little circle, and you see all the abundance around them, all the fruits and vegetables and all of that. There's clearly been a party, and they're celebrating something. And Vunyo always reminds me of that. You're looking at three different runes that comprise it. You're looking at Isa, which is the straight line, Lagus, which is like this, and then Kenaz, which is like this. And so it's really a higher self kind of vibration when you're talking about this level of harmony, understanding the unity of all things. So it's a little bit higher vibration than just simply coming together and having a party together. It's sort of the fundamental. I'm going to roll. It didn't seem like they did anything. There we go. It's more the fundamental collective consciousness type of harmony, really, I think, anyway. So it's a kind of a cool rune. Here we have Vaya. So the path toward harmony, the path toward fellowship. You could probably interpret that way. This is Vaya. Now, if they were two dots all the way down, that'd be its complement, populace, and that would be more of a follower. But here you're blazing your own trail, and where harmony and fellowship is involved. You can also look at Vaya as, say, a concentrated focus, very similar to Isa, a Norn rune of the static realm, basically, or the present moment in the Elder Futhark. But I think that trying to find a way to align in a way that's harmonious with other people, I think that we see a lot of that not happening these days. And so, it would make sense to have these runes together. So the higher self side, the as above side, then would be the harmony and the fellowship and the joy and the love and all of that and the unity. But then how do we get there on the below side with Vaya? What path do we take? Is it one we take with other people, or is this going to be an individual decision to make on your own? If it was populous here, then depending on the essence of the joy and fellowship, I suppose, you would be following along with the crowd on that. There would be a more unified expression, maybe. This, I think, is probably a more individual decision to do this. And it's describing that. So let's just shuffle just a little bit more here and take the cards. The tarot card for the week is also out on the blog. Again, the web address is imsteppingaside.com. The blog's called Stepping Aside. If you click on Show More below the video, it'll open up a window. And at the top is the website address, and then there's a little description of what I'm doing here. And then below that are some other links that you can find me at, places like Mastodon and stuff like that. It's not that I'm not on Twitter. I still am, but it's, I don't know. It isn't the same. At least not for me, I don't feel the same on it. I'm always grateful when somebody talks to me that I've been friends with for a long time, that it's like, wow, here you are. It's kind of that, like, wow, I found you, haven't seen anything from you. I didn't know if you were here anymore. It's that kind of stuff, because for whatever reason, I don't see very many people that I have talked to for a long time anymore there. So either they're not there or they are, and I'm just not seeing it. So it's like, what happened? What happened to that? So while I can still rely on getting some stuff there, like from different attorneys and people like that I like to read, they're just the regular folk. I don't see them anymore. Well, we've had a couple of weeks now where, or at least a week and a half, I think, where we did not have any major arcana cards in a reading. Now we have 2. And then the other one is the 7 of Swords. So, I don't know how I want to read this, though. I think that let's read it. Let's just read it in the order that we have it. We're going to begin with the High Priestess. Now, the High Priestess is the idea, if you think about the High Priestess in terms of the triplicity between the Fool, the Magician, and the High Priestess, you have the Fool that takes the leap of faith into form. You have the Magician who is essentially creating that form, and with all of his tools and with all of the elements, creating what the life is going to look like. And that's the external aspect of self. And then you get into the internal aspect of self with the High Priestess. So you're kind of taking care of, between the Magician and the High Priestess, the creation of your life here in form, basically. And with the Fool, you're the Fool, and you're taking that leap of faith. You've given yourself over to whatever decision you've made prior to incarnating, and you're going to jump into all of it feet first, and with the idea that you trust the process, and you trust what you've already decided, and you know that you're going to be here to learn and discover and interact and do all of these things. And it's just that leap of faith that you take, right, into form, that the soul does. And so with the High Priestess, though, she's sitting on a bench. They're a stone bench. She's got one foot on the maiden moon, if you will. And here you show the triplicity up above here, maiden, mother, and crone. Behind her is a drape that has pomegranates on it. And what it appears to me is it's likely in the shape of the Tree of Life from Kabbalah. Here you have the 2 temples of Solomon. You can look at them in terms of light and dark. You can look at them as balance, the inner balance that you have. But she's all about intuition and inner wisdom and representing the divine feminine. She's about revelation and compassion and inner wisdom. It's also about dreams and alignment and change. all of the things that the inner self can help you with, help the external self to do when you're in form, after you've taken that leap. After that, the next card is the Empress, who gives birth to creation, basically, followed by her consort, the Emperor. And that's how I see those first 5 cards, basically, of the major arcana. It's that process of creation, basically. With the Emperor bringing in, after that, inner authority or external authority, however you want to look at that. Probably a balance between the two. Otherwise, he gets a little bit too authoritarian, maybe, if the inner side of it isn't working as effectively, right? But with the High Priestess, if we're talking about joy and determining a new path toward that, or a path that involves that, then you have to do some inner work to make that happen. You're going to have to reconsider perceptions that you have, possibly, it's that whole idea of going within to really understand the truth and know what the real truth is of something, not being influenced by the external ego or the external personality that does just basically that reacts to everything that's going on. This is a measured, informed decision about what's really happening and how you need to see it, especially if you're shifting your attitude or your perception to another way of looking at something, enabling you to then get on a path or set yourself on a path that involves, harmony and joy and fellowship with other people. And then we come to the Tower. The Tower is an interesting card. We see a bolt of lightning coming in, starting a fire as it blows off the lid to the tower, the very top part of the tower, right? You see smoke coming out. You see fire coming out of the windows. You see 2 people jumping out, excuse me, jumping out away from the tower to avoid all of what's going on inside there, any further explosions or what have you. Now, we don't know that they fell to their death. We don't know that. We just know that they're falling. And so basically with the Tower, what you're looking at here, you're looking at a situation where there's disruption. It's catalytic. Something is disrupting things. So if you're talking about inner perception, what it's saying is that there's going to have to be some major transformation there, maybe, to where you're really going to have to rethink things that have kept you away from people. Is it something that you're going to still say, well, okay, I'm going to build my world the way I want to build it? It doesn't mean that you return to things that are unhealthy, or relationships that are unhealthy. It just means that you see things for what they are, and you're willing to do that now. You're willing to take off the rose-colored glasses and allow yourself to be transformed and to see things for what they are. And that, for many people, that can result in a very profound transformation, a profound shifting of perception, where you are really starting to see things in a way that's more realistic. It may be something where you were caught up in something, one mode of thinking, and now you realize, well, no, that wasn't right. I can't do that. It may be that you walk your own path, basically, and develop the harmony within. That could be another way of looking at Vaya and Vunyo. The inner joy that you express out toward other people, the willingness to live in harmony with other people, instead of being at loggerheads and all of that all the time. But again, if the circumstance is what it is, then the Tower is saying, see it for what it is. And it may just be time to walk your own path when you look at Vaya, and develop that joy and harmony within, so that you can assess things in a different way. That would be another way of looking at things, instead of going along with the crowd, basically, and adopting what other people do because it's just what people do. Well, maybe this isn't the time in life to do that. Maybe this is the time in life to walk your own path and develop the joy and harmony within that you can then express outward. but it's not dependent upon other people for you to do that. Maybe how you did it was based on a transactional level of an experience, where as long as it was happening for you, it would happen in return between you and someone else. So there was that level of transaction there, maybe that you now realize that, and I only say this because of the High Priestess card. This is really a card of inner focus. And then if it follows with the Trower, then you're transforming that inner reality, that inner truth, where you can now rely on that, where you can rely on your intuition, where you can rely on that higher awareness, that inner voice that tells you what the truth of something is, right? And so maybe it means that you walk your own path. And when you do so, you come to the Seven of Swords, where maybe you need to have more information. Maybe you need to use that information to level the playing field. Swords reflects the air element, and that's communication. It's information. It's justice. It's fairness. It's balance. The seven itself looks like, when you draw it out, and I've done this before, and maybe I have one here I've already done, but maybe not. No, I'm going to do it over on this side. If you look at the seven, you have, it reminds me of the scales. So it's bringing everything to balance, right? So the midpoint would be the 4. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you have the scales, basically. And so that's the energy of all of this. I think that it really defines the energy or the energetic flow of the two major cards, because although I used to look at this as theft of intellectual property, but, realistically what this is you've got a guy who was likely inside the king's tents over here. You see the king's men, the soldiers over here, maybe coming back from battle or talking about their battle plans for the next day. But here you assume that these swords were all piercing the ground. So they leave their strategy out here for people to see, right? And the guy that was probably inside the tent taking care of them, serving their food, pouring their drink, whatever, he manages to leave, but he takes with him, he's from the town, and he takes with him the battle plans, so that the town, who doesn't have the same level of armament, doesn't have the same numbers of people to protect itself from what's about to happen to them with the king and his men, right? This guy found a way to sneak in, pretend he was somebody he wasn't, and steal their battle plans to take back to the community, so that they can give them a little extra leg up here on something that is clearly an imbalance, right? We're talking like this and this, okay? We just saw from, that would be Pentacles, not from the Six of Swords, but I was going to say we just saw from the Six of Swords, but it's not the Six of Pentacles, where you see a type of class system, where the rich guy is offering the guys on the ground, that are homeless, a few coins, but he's not doing anything to lift them up out of the poverty, right? He's a man of means, but he's not hiring them. He's not doing something that will truly make a difference in their lives. So in effect, he keeps them there, right? And so the 6, whereas it can be a positive number, sometimes not so much, but with the 7, it's about observation. It's taking a look at the situation. And again, doing that from the perspective of inner wisdom. Does that make sense? And then allow that awareness that you gain to transform your life in a really powerful way. It could be, everything begins within. So, and then the ego comes in and, reaction. And then, nobody really sees anything for what it truly is. And I think that this is the High Priestess and the Tower are both suggesting, that it's time we take off the rose-colored glasses. It's time we take off the blinders. And when you see the triplicity of Maiden, Mother, and Crone, you're looking at not only a progression, but you're looking at a type of balance, a balanced awareness, where you're understanding, the things that happen in life, the progression in life. In this case, the progression of the moon, basically. But what is the moon? The moon is inner wisdom. It can also be about deception, but is it about self-deception? Are we deceiving ourselves? And through inner wisdom with the high priestess, are we allowing ourselves to transform that and to get rid of that stuff so that it's no longer clouding our vision and clouding how we see things? So, bringing in the seven of swords, then you take that one step further, and you're gaining more information that you need to then be able to see things realistically, to see things in balance, to understand that if you're in a situation where clearly there's a power structure at work that's keeping you in a position of their choosing and not yours, sometimes you just got to know that, and then all of a sudden you start thinking of ways around all of that, right? And so you have a little bit different path, and you figure out a way to exist, even though they may still have some semblance of authority or power over you. You find some way to exist in spite of them. And you pave your own path with Vaya, for example. So if we have 16, that's a 7. 7 and 7's 14, that's 5, 6, 7. So we have a 7 numerology, if I did that right. Yeah, 16 is 7, so 7 and 7's 14, that's 5, and 2 is 7. Okay, so basically that's what this whole, you look at the numerology of the cards, and you're still coming back with a 7 numerology, which again is observation, it's magic, it's balance, it's structure. It's letting things come to a rest, to understand the whole picture before you make a decision about it. So if the path you were walking before was one of reaction and not really having all the facts before you're making decisions, perhaps, going within and understanding the truth of things, letting things settle without the emotions coming in on it. Because ego is very emotionally reactive. Let go of that and just sit and let your heart tell you what your heart knows. Are you on the right track? Are you not? Do you need some transformation? Do you need more information to do that with? Do you need to have a sense of balance, of leveling the playing field, at least in your own sense, before you can then take that new path, that new direction toward inner joy? Generally speaking, with Vunyo, I think of it in terms of the joy and fellowship you have with others. But what about what you have to have with yourself? Because unless you're good there, you're not going to be good out there, right? If you're imbalanced, in other words, on the inside, how do you then express that harmony, that joy, that fellowship without, if you don't take care of it within? And again, if there was another card here other than the High Priestess, I might be reading this thing completely differently, a more external type of a thing. But, the 7 is telling you to get clear on what's happening, to understand the truth of it all. And the High Priestess, again, is suggesting that truth is found within. So, which, when you make realizations like that, even if it's something where it might be upsetting, when you start to understand what really happened in a certain situation, when you understand who the players were and what their motives were, you may come out with a totally different view of something that, before you might have accepted the party line or whatever about it all. And it might not have felt, you might have felt a little funny about it, but you went along with it. Well, this is what I think Vaya is suggesting, is like, no, you don't want to do that. You want to think for yourself, and you want to make the decisions you need to make that feel the most comfortable, and that are based on truth, your own truth, not somebody else's truth, but your own truth. And being able to understand, letting things settle out, letting things with this 7 numerology here for the whole reading, and for 2 of the cards, it's really saying, look, let things settle out. I mean, if you look at the Tower, it kind of looks like the scales, doesn't it? Here would be position 4 and 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It kind of looks like it. It's suggesting with, this catalytic energy that comes through, which of course is the soul, which is the higher awareness and all of that. That's pretty catalytic. It's pretty profound. It can change a lot of things in your life when you finally start listening to that. Something doesn't feel right, it's not right. You've got to have more information, and that's what the Seven of Swords is suggesting. So allow the transformation to happen. Have it come from the higher awareness instead of the ego's reaction, and see if you don't find yourself on maybe a different path that maybe feels more comfortable to you. Even though if there's a lot of unknown about it, it doesn't matter. At least you know you're headed in the right direction. And I think that's probably the crux of today's reading. So a lot for a Monday. I think Thursdays was also a lot. I had issues with the computer, this program I use, this video program I use, jumping around, and I had to reboot the computer. It's like, so I didn't reshuffle. I didn't redo the reading. I stayed with the one because I'd already pretty much finished. Well, in fact, I'd finished the whole deal, and I was looking at it, and it's like, this is not acceptable. This is never going to process out in YouTube. It's just not. So I had to do the whole thing over again, and but I just didn't change the cards, and I remember it being profound in that way as well. Let's see, what was it here? It was Birkenau, Fortuna Major, Four of Pentacles, Five of Cups, and Nine of Wands. Yeah, it was really a new beginnings in terms of how you see things. And so, in a way, maybe this reading is also an extension. The next step in what we were trying to do on Thursday of last week. So, I don't know. But, you try to ease into a Monday, the reading's not going to let you. So, anyway, thanks for watching. And if you haven't clicked subscribe yet, I would love you to do that and come back and join our little tarot and rune family. I do this on Mondays and Thursdays, so come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.